Who is your favorite villain? Hans Lander. Every single time he was on screen, he absolutely commanded the scene. I've never been so enthralled, yet terrified of a fictional character before. He's completely unpredictable, totally believable, and just downright diabolical in his manipulation of the human psyche. His motivations are so complex, yet so simple. His actions are so grandiose, yet subtle. His dialogue is so calming, yet absolutely malevolent. Absolutely phenomenal and charming character. Christoph Waltz is a brilliant actor. If I thought longer, I might have a different answer, but I'm inclined to say Eren Yeager. A fantastic job at taking a protagonist and showing how the traits he has the entire time smoothly turn him into a monster, but one who's still completely consistent with the character he was before. Breaking Bad does this very well too, but Walt goes for villainy very early out, gives you most of the series with Eren as the protagonist before doing the turn to villainy. Would have to say either Emperor Palpatine or Joker. It's very difficult. Here's my top 5 because I cannot decide. Emperor Palpatine mainly movies, meaning Ian McDiarmid. Joker Heath Ledger, Mark Hamill, Joaquin Phoenix. Cruella de Vil mainly the original book, original animation, and Glenn Close's Pennywise book, and 1990. 2017 didn't speak to me. Dolores Umbridge was reminded of her in another comment. She's definitely up there. Lex Luthor played by Gene Hackman in Superman 1978. California, and then launched a nuclear weapon into the San Andreas Fault to cause an earthquake that would sink California into the ocean and turn his worthless desert holdings into beachfront property. It's just the perfect thing for a comic book supervillain to do. Billy Butcher the Punisher. Ultimately both of them are bad men, and to the world at large, they are villains. And looking to someone else to save them, and without those people to keep them in line. Both became nightmarish men who will cross any line, say anything, and manipulate anyone to hurt other people. Mads Mikkelsen as Hannibal in the NBC TV series Hannibal. Anthony Hopkins was fantastic in the film versions, no argument, but Mads brings such charisma and sinister joy to the role. The way he portrayed Hannibal's violence as a twisted love language with war was just another layer on a complicated, intriguing character. I enjoy every season and it's still one of my favorite series of all time. Sly Cooper. Mainly just because I loved driving my brother and his friends crazy by explaining that Sly and his friends are not good anthropomorphic animal people. But he only steals from other criminals like that was somehow a virtuous act. It's not even like he was then giving his ill-gotten gains to the poor or downtrodden. It was 100 for personal gain. David Xanatos. He is such an iconic villain and one I feel that could be dropped into so many other settings and still be iconic. Charming. And while dripping with enough skeezy businessman energy to feel at home in any Saturday morning block. He is ruthless and conniving enough, but to also fit right at home on an HBO drama. Weird one. But John Lithgow's portrayal of a villain in the film Cliffhanger stands out to me. The man has range as an actor. The film itself isn't exactly top flight, and I feel John's performance deserves a nod. He's like Bryan Cranston, but 20 years earlier, and I suggest that he deserves similar praise. Drama, action, comedy. The guy does it all quite well. Handsome Jack from Borderlands 2. He is constantly in your face and in the beginning of the game is in complete control of everything that happens. He only starts losing control when Sanctuary moves. After the assault on the bunker, there is a venom behind his taunts that wasn't there before, which gives him more menace. My favorite love-to-hate villain. But re-fiction, vampires has been on my mind, and the chunk of my vampire data comes from Twilight. And the Volturi don't seem too bad. They are what I expect vampires to be like, especially royalty. I like how they aren't nor especially debatable. I like how they're on top mostly because they play their cards right. One intriguing favorite villain is Killmonger from Black Panther. His complex backstory, motivations, and charisma make him a compelling antagonist who challenges conventional notions of heroism and justice. He brings depth and thought-provoking themes to the story, making him a standout character in the Marvel Universe. Megatron. He can be a dick, but he's also in charge of a bunch of backstabbing childlike assholes, so he's got his work cut out for him. I also like when he's put in hero-like situations, like when he led a team in the Machinima Transformers series. Just so tired of everyone's shit all the time. Otto Apocalypse from Honkai Impact 3rd game are kinda mid, honestly. Otto is so well written, I hate its guts. He is an evil asshole, but it feels so compelling as a character not motivated from greed or desire for power, but for redemption. Prequels Palpatine, especially with the EU content. Just an absolute scheming genius, and so wise with power from Sith legends. Incredible villain manipulating an entire galaxy. King of two factions without each other knowing it. So goose. Baron Zemo is super underrated here. IMO. He achieved his goals to the fullest extent, if only temporarily, maybe with very little effort, and basically walked almost free. He played them all and they didn't even know it. Darth Vader. His presence and design, and his entire arc from Anakin to saving his son, is very well written. Love the first two trilogies and the Obi-Wan show. The sequel trilogy should have never been made though. Aku from Samurai Jack narrates the intro. Unspeakable evil ruled the world and has been a menace for probably longer than any cartoon villain up to date, while also able to order extra thick pizza. Snidely Whiplash and Simon Bar Sinister. JPG. Who is your favorite villain? The most interesting. In no particular order. Homelander, Anakin Vader, Hannibal Lecter, Michael Corleone, Q. Ryan O'Reilly, the comedian, Woodrow F. Call. 1. The Joker. 2. Darth Vader. 3. Bane. 4. Mr. Freeze. 5. Kingpin. 6. Hannibal Lecter. 7. Atom Smasher. 8. Vicious Cowboy Bebop. 9. Light Yagami. 10. Green Goblin. 11. Lex Luthor. 12. Dr. Octopus. Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin, played brilliantly by Vincent D'Onofrio on Daredevil. A very calm, cool demeanor, sharp mind and polished exterior, but underneath he's vicious, brutal and unrelenting. I'm stuck between Hamsterville, Andreas, or Azrael I'd if he counts. I just like fluffy cuddle bear villains who seem to be cutie pies but can literally kick ass while looking cool. Come on, man. General Grievous. Possibly my favorite fictional character. He looks badass. In lore he's badass. He has a badass voice, a tragic backstory, and a rounded concluded story. What's not to like? If by favorite you mean a villain I hate with a passion, that would be Dr. Smith from Lost in Space 2's. God. I hated that guy. Edit, I change my answer. Rope Batty Blade Runner. Tony Montana Scareface. This is last time you gonna see a bad guy like this again. Let me tell you. Come on. Make way for the bad guy. There's a bad guy coming through. Konto Dim. I don't think he was that special or revolutionary. He was such a classic villain archetype that was executed so well. It showed me the power of classics. Ozymandias from Watchmen. Dude outsmarted the only real hero in the universe and convinced the dude to leave Earth for the sake of peace. Genius writing right there. Vilgax from Ben 10. The voice acting, design, and the fact he still remains a dangerous threat despite losing many times to Ben made him an excellent villain for me. Cuban Blisk from Titanfall 2. He has that menacing obs bad guy energy. But respect for Jack's efforts as a fellow soldier. Plankton close second though. Tuco Salamanca from Breaking Bad and Begbie from Trainspotting. Guess I have a thing for villains who are terrifying and hilarious at the same time. Richard 3. One of the first and best, yeah. I'm the bad guy in this. You are gonna watch me be the bad guy, and you are gonna be rooting for me. IKR get hate for it, but Dobby from Ma. I feel like even our own society creates villains by failing them, and Dobby is a great example of that. Magneto, although in some situations he's less of a villain and more of an anti-hero, he's still my favorite, because he absolutely is right. Carl. Hans Lander, Inglourious Bastards, the Jew Hunter. Christoph Waltz was so good at making me hate his character. Best performance I've seen. The Kurgan for the original Highlander movie. Christopher Lambert as Connor MacLeod and Clancy Brown as the Kurgan, the ultimate bad guy. Arnold's Mr. Freeze. He looked like he had a blast with that role, and I've never laughed so hard at a villain yelling puns the whole movie. I mean, it's probably impossible to pick a single favorite all time, but with some recency bias, I'm going with a Metzelch as my answer. Jang Dae-hee. Itaewon Class. A Korean drama. This guy is evil incarnate. When the series ended, I knew he was the best villain ever. My favorite villain has to be the Joker. His unpredictability, chaos, and twisted sense of humor make him such a compelling character. Lord Shen. Kung Fu Panda 2. Such a perfect full-to-pose character and backstory, and the perfect reflection of the movie's message. Emperor Bellows. One of the most reprehensible bastards in all of cartoon history. Still a superbly written character, though. I think for me it's probably going to be the Predator, the original. Although the one in the Prime movie is pretty cool too.